Okay, thank you very much. I was asked to describe myself in 3 words for horseware before the WEG last year. I was like, how do you describe yourself in 3 words? And then the 3 words I came up with was learning every day. So I love hearing talks like that, and you are learning. It is an eye-opener, and it's a big part of the system. And that's one of the things I was going to talk to you about today. Is you will hear in passing riders talking about a system. Piggy French, when she won badminton this year, she just said, yeah, our system at home is really working. Now, can they describe their system? I'm not sure if every rider can, but they do actually have a system. And that is what you absolutely need, because if you have a system, you can improve it and you can refine it. Whereas if you're just trying stuff, then you're like, if anyone heard me talking about my own cooking, I could have said my mother's cooking, but you could be doing it for years and not actually getting any better, because you're not doing it purposefully. Whereas if you're thinking, does this work with this? Does cooking it for this amount of time work better than cooking it for this amount of time? Does this work? So that's the difference between cooking with purpose versus just throwing stuff together on a daily basis and trying to look at Facebook and trying to mind the kids. And that's what training should be about. You need to think about it and understand it and create this system. So what is a system? System is what you do, it's how you do it, and it really importantly is why you do it. Okay, and start with why. Really do start with why, because this is not an easy game. And you'll hit low spots. You'll hit really low spots. I've had low spots. WEG 2010 was a low spot. We all know the importance of Olympic qualification, no more than this country right now. I was in 6th spot on the team. Ireland was in 6th spot in 2010. We were going to qualify for the Olympics in 2012. I was the last man in the show jumping because I had the best score. I could have 1 rail down but not 2. I blew out 4 rails and I looked like a show. It was terrible. And everyone was there. Everyone was tuned in. Ireland's about to qualify for the Olympics. It's going to be our first team across the board. Who's this Watson guy? He's just cost us our place. What the heck? What is that guy doing? He can't even ride. That was me. That was hard. And it was like, people joked about it for a while, going, Sammy, don't do a WEG. Don't do a WEG. And that hurt. I swear to God, that hurt. And that drove me to improve, because at that time I was entitled to hurt because I didn't know enough. And then 4 years later, we were in 6th spot again. Canada's a theme here. Canada were actually in 7th, and they wanted me to basically. I think I could still have 4 rails and would still be okay, because WEG 2014 was carnage on cross country. Done a good job again. I was our last man in. And basically, all kind of like the only way you guys would qualify and get 6th spot and get the qualify is if I fell off. If I fell off. And I'm coming around. I've had 1 rail. He's jumping well. I'm coming around about the 3rd last fence, straight in towards the stand. I'm a little bit off the fence. Not that much, guys. Seriously. He should have. Any of my other horses would have jumped it and jumped it clean. And he just goes, that's too far. Stop. I nearly fell off. And I could hear there was like everyone in the stadium went, and the Canadians went, yeah! And I hung on, circling as they rebuilt the fence, because I had to come around and jump again because I landed a minute. Circling. That was it. I'm done. I'm back where I was 4 years ago. I am a humiliation. I came around, I finished the job off. Everyone going, yes, Sam, you got it done. You hung on, well done. Thinking it was a joke. It was no joke to me, guys. I was in like a football stadium, a crowd full of people. I wanted to be a winner. The reason I was doing it then was because I wanted to win stuff. I wanted to be like an Olympian. I wanted to be someone who could win medals. And that was embarrassing and humiliating. And it had happened again. This was it. Like, I was a choker. I still hadn't been to a championships. I couldn't deliver when I needed to deliver. And I just drove, and as I was driving home, the only thing I hung on to was that I'm sure I'm better. I'm sure I'm better than I was 4 years ago. So then I worked out then a system to, part of my system was that, okay, I need a strategy here to prove that I am better, because I needed it to hang on in my kind of moment of doubt. My strategy became simple, accountable progress. That's my strategy. Simple, accountable progress. So it has to be simple, because I need to understand it. I need to be able to refine it. If you get a flat tire and you need to change a tire, that's a process that if you haven't done it before, once you do it, you can work it out and go, yeah, okay, I can actually change a tire. And then the more times you do it, the better you'll get, because it's quite simple. There's a few steps to do, you can do it. And the more times you do it, the better you get at it. Because it's simple. But if your car just you put the key in the ignition and nothing happens. It's like, where do I start? It's going to be a complex problem. Complex problems are hard. So simple, accountable progress. The reason I have to be accountable is if you're not measuring stuff, you don't know if you're improving. You're not managing. You're just, you will probably get there. Like most people have in sport gone by, they weren't measuring anything. They were just riding better and doing it off feel and doing it off instincts. And you will get there, but it's not 2019. It's not the world we live in now. The world we live in now, people know, like, on average how many putt strokes they're taking, per course in golf. They know their average driving distance. They know their greens and regulations. They know the percentage of fairways they hit. They know their first serve percentages. They know their, serve and volley. Everyone knows everything because they can then work out the most efficient way to progress and to get there. And I am not a talented rider, and I never was. I was a late enough starter. So I'm going to phrase it differently. I never looked like a talented rider because I was later to party than most people. I did my first eventing Ireland event when I was 16. Everyone I competed event had already done loads. So I didn't look as good as them. Of course I didn't. I hadn't put in the practice. I didn't have the practice that they had. So everyone was like, oh God, Sam is just, he's not his father's son, he's not his sister's brother, he's not got it. Please tell me he doesn't think he's going to do this forever because he's not going to do it. But I was the analytical guy. It sounds arrogant saying it, but I just wanted to work it out. And I didn't, like, my why, my purpose and what drives me to do it, it has changed. Initially, I thought it was a good way to pick up girls. So I was like doing my ratio of guys to girls. I was like, this works. Never ever had a girlfriend because didn't have time. And then I met my wife in 2008, and I'll never look at another girl again. So that was that, and so my why then needs to change. Then I was like, okay, well I want to be a winner. I'm in this now, more by default. That's what happens with horses. You get sucked in, and then you're doing it. And I wanted to be a winner. That made me try too hard. That is a big thing. You can over try for this. And I'll talk about mental side of it in a minute. You can over try, and if you're picking up on what I'm talking about here, there's an awful lot, even on cross country. Like, why is it so relaxed? Why is Sam trying to cool it down so much? It's you got to think about what you're doing, what's useful, and why you're doing it. So, wanting to win everything or wanting to be an Olympian, that wasn't a great why for me. But I tried it for a while, but it was I wasn't finding the focus and the clarity. So my why became about the horse, about training the horses to be elite athletes. That's what I want to do now. And it sounds a little bit corny. I've been sat there as a 25-year-old being like, oh, he's just a horse hugger. I mean, come on, real sport, you gotta get the shit done. Sometimes you gotta give him a kick, sometimes you gotta give him a sock in the teeth. Surely you just gotta get it done. But it's for me, it's genuinely, it's just not. I really, honestly, fully believe that the better a bond and understanding you have with your horse, and the more you want this to be about them becoming champions, the better you will be. The better your system, because that is my system revolves around. I'll give you an example. If your objective was to become a world-class athlete, to be world number one, your objective is to become world number one. One of your strategies could be to have a brilliant owner experience. If you have a brilliant owner experience, if that's your strategy, it's all about the owners, you're going to attract a lot of owners to the table. They're going to be able to buy you good horses, and that could work. So that could be a strategy that works for you. And then I'll get on to tactics in a minute. But that is kind of like why you're doing this to be world number one. How you're going to do it is going to be through this owner experience, and that could be your model. So for me, it's not. For me, it's about training the horses, and so my strategy is about a training system. And then my tactics. Your tactics are what you do on a daily basis. So remember your system, what you do, how you do it, and why you do it, which is kind of like what you do are your tactics. How you do it is your strategy, and why you do it is your objective or your purpose. That's the target. So then my tactics, what I do, I'm bringing two of them to you today. I've got my accuracy out there, and I've got my footwork out there. And those are the kind of two things we're focusing on today. But it's quite simple. You'll see from what I'm doing there, like, it's not easy. Big difference between being simple and easy. But you guys could take my accuracy exercise there. You've seen how to make it more difficult. You've seen how to push yourself. You can see where you could go with it. I can do that exercise. I can do 3-5-3 5, 3, 5. You know, I mix it up like that, and I do and I do it 10 times in a row without dropping the ball. You know, that's the way I train. It's no different, and that's should be reassuring for you. There's actually not a huge leap. If you saw what I did on my WEG horse versus what some of you are doing on your training horses, it's not a huge leap. And that's good. That's positive.
Yeah.
And same with the footwork. When we go out there this afternoon, we do the footwork exercise. The intermediate horses aren't going to be doing anything way too different to what the training horses were doing. So that's what I'm working on. I work other tactics would be power. That's the grid work. Stamina. That's my fitness work. Other tactics would be concentration is an interesting one. So people sometimes talk about carefulness. For me, carefulness can sometimes force you to be a little bit too forced about the whole thing. I think concentration, they're concentrating on the top pole. If they're concentrating on the dressage, and if they're I use concentration under fatigue sometimes. So I'll do my stamina work, and then I'll come and do like a footwork exercise at the end of it. So they'll do a 5-6 minute bit of canter work. They'll be blowing, their heart rate will have got up just up to around 200. It'll come down to sort of around 150, and I'll be in there doing this, and they'll be like, okay, and you feel the difference, and they've learned to concentrate under fatigue, because that's that combination at the end of the course that catches you. So you get a sense of what is a training system. Well, like firstly, why are you doing it? How are you doing it? How I do it is through training, and then your tactics, and like just even speaking through the tactics there, that kind of makes sense. You know, it's not unachievable, and to be honest, guys, that's all you need, really. You know, and part of your tactics are going to be your team. It's going to be you need people around you. I have a great person in my wife, Sparkles, Hannah. She's at home minding the kids and the horses and everything. While I'm here, I go to Tokyo on Saturday for the test event. So like that's completely part of the system. Someone there. You know, you need a team. If you want to be successful, surround yourself with successful people, for sure. You know, and listen and learn. But being here, it's kind of selfish because I enjoy it. I'm a thinker. I do want to pass this on. I view myself as a coach anyway. I'm my horse's coach, and so I enjoy teaching because I teach them every day. So teaching you guys and teaching your horses, that's fun for me. I enjoy it. I'm also learning all the time. You know, I'll look at that piece of ground that I'm using out there. Like I've learned a few things. I've learned listening to the talk that happened before me. I'm learning all the time. So that's the way I think. I always go to these things thinking I will learn something. I'm going to the test event. I don't have to go to the test event. A lot of riders will tell you 5 days away from the horses, watching Japanese riders going around an event, listening to boring FEI talks. No, thank you. I'm going there because I'm going to hear stuff. I'm going to hear stuff about dealing with humidity. I'm going to see, I don't know, I could learn something walking through an airport listening to 2 businessmen talking about something, eavesdropping in the corner. I do. I'm always looking for it. Like that is, I don't believe in talent. I believe in smart, purposeful practice, like being intelligent, working it out. You know, that's all it is. And I think in skill in 100 meters that doesn't work. 100 meters, you got to push yourself, you got to push your body, and you've got to be born Jamaican. It's true. But you know what I mean? You need some genetics. Eventing is not that way. You know, trying to breed an event horse is not like trying to breed a horse who's going to win the Kentucky Derby, where you have to have that amount of, you know, you need a lot of good ingredients in there, but a lot of it is in the heart, it's in the head, and it's taught, it's skill, it's just taught. So it's the same for us riders. It can all be taught. So believe that, and that's what I want to give you. So you have that belief. Anyone in this room wants to go and be the best rider in the world, promise you can get there. From there's not one person of the 16 that I've taught today who cannot do it. It's just, that's what I believe. I fully believe it. I'm not just saying that to make you happy. I fully believe it. That it'll come down to you and your attitude. But you hear the way I talk, you hear how analytical I am, you know the attention to detail I have. You know, that's what you need. And that's not hard. Doing that every day, particularly if you're not maybe of that mindset, but become that driven. And all the riders have it. They all have that. Some for them it is just absolute work. It's hours. It's showing up every day. And obviously for me, that is, I've got to do that. I can't not do it. But I like to get my edge. I'm an amateur. I start in an office at 11 o'clock every morning. I ride from 7 to 4 hours a day to ride my 5, probably get 5 horses in. So I got to ride them smarter. I got to train them smarter than anyone else because I ride them for less time. So I've broke into the top 10 in the world this year. I'm constantly battling with myself as to, do I want my purpose to change? Do I want to try and be the best in the world? And I have to be so disciplined going, no, Sam, what is working for you is to focus on your horses, focus on training your horses, just keep doing that. And because I enjoy it, I really love it. Very, very important to do what you love and love what you do. That's the other thing. You know, because that will, if your purpose, if you really think you want something, but it's not bringing you satisfaction every day, then it's not aligning. Your purpose, your reason for doing it should be, you should do what you love and you should love what you do. So if it's that dream of being number one, if you wake up every day and just going, I'm on the road to being world number one. If that's what makes you feel brilliant and you love that and you love everything you do, then that's the right purpose for you. But if it's not, then you've got to change it. Switching then to kind of game day mental prep. And I'll take questions if anyone's got questions, but let me spew it all out of my brain, which is a complicated place. Game day prep. It is, you cannot, never ever be annoyed or worried about how you feel. And that goes beyond, I'm not a psychologist or anything like that, but that goes beyond just horses and game day prep. If you, I would say that to my kids, you guys feel how you feel. You can't fake that. Your feelings are real. Okay, but now, then you've got to say, is that useful? So that goes to, what you think about school, to what you think about me, to, how you, nerves, who you fancy, anything in whether you feel happy or sad. If you're I just feel sad every day, don't, people just tell you, be happy. Stop being so sad every day, be happy. It's you've got to work out how, you've got to work out how to be happy. You can't lie, your feelings, you can't lie about them. They are what you are. So when you feel nervous in the start box, or before the start box, don't go, oh shit, I feel nervous. It's okay to feel nervous. All nerves will come in. So the first thing you tell yourself, that's okay. Sometimes I will be warming up, and I'll go, what if I hit a fence and die? I've got 2 kids. It's the darkest thought in the world. It's Sam, what is wrong with you? I go, that's okay to have that thought. What's useful right now? That's the most important thing. So you go, your thought has entered your head, you cannot stop it. So don't panic about it. Say, that's okay to have that thought. Now, what is useful? What is and that's where all this training is important. Because if you're in the start box and you don't know what's useful for you to be concentrating on at that point, you don't have a solution to nerves. That's really important, to understand what you need to do on that course. So we talked about making your horse focus on the fence. That's important. So that becomes, because that will override. You tell yourself, is Billy focusing on the fence? That's going to become the one thing that I'm focusing on. What's my course? Firstly, do I know? I know all my lines. Sometimes I go through that. There's times to be doing it. Don't do it when the starter's going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because you'll be at fence 7 and it'll say go, and then you'll just be at, So you got to think, what can I do now that's useful? Because any of those nerves that come in, it's just completely normal. So just don't panic about it. That's the first thing. Don't panic, and then focus on what's useful. And you'll get better at that the more confident you become, and the more that you believe that you can do it. And again, confidence can't be faked. So don't just, again, if someone tells you to just be confident, that's useless. Yeah, become confident. You become confident by knowing what you're going to do and knowing how you're going to do it. Again, what and how are really important. Belief, which is, we talked about out there, the heart and the fire in the belly, that's because you believe strongly in why you're doing it. So the belief comes from the why, the confidence comes from knowing the what and the how. So what you're going to do is knowing your course, fence 1, fence 2, fence 3, I'm going to come in with this type of a canter, I'm going to take this line, that's my plan. Have this kind of pace, this kind of rhythm. I'm gonna be quite economical on that turn. That's knowing what you're gonna do. How you're gonna do it is, upper body, outside rein, keeping my head up, focusing on that part C element, not getting dragged in. There's a drop fence there. I'm gonna keep my upper body good by focusing on the B part. now you know how to do it. And now there's no more room in your brain for, oh my god, what if that guy I fancy is looking at me and I miss at fence 2 because I think he's standing at fence 2. He told me he'd be there taking a photo. And honestly, if I see a bad stride there, I really think that's it for me. So there's no more room in your head for that sort of stuff, because you're going, okay, what's my line to that fence? What's my canter going to be? And be serious about it. Upper body, shoulder. So have those trigger points. That, guys, that all ties into your system. It's simple. It's powered by understanding, learning, being smart, listening to people, watching people, having an insatiable hunger for wanting to improve things and understand things. But that's the way I do it. If that does not make any sense to you, or you think I'm the weirdest, oddest guy you've ever seen, then listen to someone else, like to Boyd or to Jeff Phoenix. Just listen to someone who you do relate to, because I'm sure there's other ways of being successful, but this is the way I know. And hopefully someone goes, that could work for me. I think I could do this the way Sam did it. And I think I could do it better than him. I think I could learn a bit more, because I'm going to he's spent loads of time learning stuff. I'm going to take where he is. I'm going to have to experiment, so I'll have to make mistakes. Remember the 3 words: try, fail, learn. That's my cycle. I'm doing it all the time. Gotta try it, you will fail. That's the other thing. Just accept it. Like you have to fail. You can't not. You've failed, but then you learn from it, and then you try again. There's always little failures in there. Like, don't be, like, World Games last year, I did 35.5 dressage. That was at the outer bounds of where I should be. I should have been like low 30s, and I was 35.5. I nailed the other stuff. So there's little failures in there that I could learn from. So I tried, I had little failures, and I'll learn from them. I don't get too hung up on the bits that went right, aside from feedback, going, yeah, that did work, so I'll store that. But I don't spend ages just drinking and swinging my medal around and go, I am so good. Because that isn't. I'm going, what can I improve? I'm addicted to progress. That would be another 3 words to describe myself, would be addicted to progress. But I get addicted to progress by the learning every day bit is that's what helps me to do it. So I hope there were some words in there that made sense and that help you. Any questions? I'm here for a while. I hope I'll be awake for most of it. Thank you very much for having me, folks.
Thank you.